Hello grade 4s. Today we are going to do some revision of long division. I know that everybody is really stressing about it, so please don't stress. Let's follow the steps and you can always come back to the video when you need to. When we work with long division, we work with these simple steps. We divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and then we repeat the process as many times as we have to. In order to remember our steps, divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down, we are going to work with this little trick. Daddy, mommy, sister, brother. Daddy is for divide, mommy is for multiply, sister is for subtract, and brother is for bring down. Every time you work with a long division sum, please write DMSB on the side of your sum and tick it off as you complete each step. This is the symbol that we work with when we work with long division. This is a symbol that you are going to use in order to show each different number in your long division sum. If I have the sum 132 divided by 2 is equal to, I'm going to write it like this. I'll have my long division symbol, my 2 on the outside, and my 132 on the inside of this symbol. The number that is being divided into the number gets written on the outside, and the number that you are actually dividing gets written on the inside. So for example, if I had 132 sweets and dividing it by 2 people, this is how I would write it down. I've written down my long division steps on the side, DMSB, and I'm going to tick it off every time I complete each step. Let's start. My first step is to divide. So I need to say 1 divided by 2. Or I could also say it as how many times does 2 go into 1? 2 cannot go into 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little dot on top, because we don't start off numbers with a 0. Then I'm going to work with the 13 because that's the next number that I have. 13 divided by 2 is equal to 6. We have 1 left over, but don't worry about that yet. You could also say how many times does 2 go into 13? And we know that 2 can go into 13 6 times. So on top of my divide symbol and on top of my 3, I'm going to write the number 6. Now I can tick off my divide symbol, my divide step, to show that I've worked with divide. My next step is to multiply. So I'm going to say 6, which is the number that I've just written down, multiplied by 2. And write the answer at the bottom of the 13 because this is the number that I just worked with. 12. I can tick off M for multiply because I've done my multiplication step. My next step is to subtract. So I'm going to draw a line underneath my 1 and my 2, just like we do in vertical column method, and I'm going to complete the subtraction sum. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. So I write my 1 underneath that column. 1 take away 1 is equal to 0. So again, I'm going to draw a little dot in that place. I can tick off my S because I've done my subtraction. My next step is to bring down. So the number that is left, the next number, is going to move down next to this 1. Draw your arrow and move your 2. Now we are left with the number 2. This is the number that I'm going to work with now. I've ticked off my B for bring down because I've completed that step. Now I start the process again. I have to divide. So I'll say 12 because this 12 is what I'm working with. Divided by 2 is equal to, or I could also say how many times does 2 go into 12? 2 goes into 12 6 times. 12 divided by 2 is also 6. So whichever way you decide to work with it, just make sure that you are working with division and write your answer on top. Tick off your D because you've done your divide step. My next step, if I look at my steps, is to multiply. I have to multiply this number that I've just written down. So 6 times 2 is equal to 12. I write it at the bottom. Pick of multiply, we've completed that step. My next step, if I check my steps, is to subtract. So again, draw the line, let's subtract. 2 take away 2 is equal to 0. 1 take away 1 is equal to 0. I'm not going to draw anything over there. For this step, since now you've done your subtract, there's nothing left to bring down. You could have written a 0 if you want to. And then you know that there's nothing left over. There is no remainder. So you've completed the steps. There's nothing left to bring down. There's no remainder. So your final answer is 66. So 132 divided by 2 is equal to 66. If you get stuck, please come back to this video and just follow the steps. It's really easy as long as you follow daddy, mommy, sister, brother. Good luck for all your division sums. Bye.